Okay, this is probably good enough to start. Hey everybody, hope you guys are having a great Saturday. Uh, if you're unfamiliar with AnyInu, we're the most multi-chain dog coin ever. We're on 17 chains and, expected to be on 60 by the end of the year. It's one fixed supply of coins, 420 billion coins spread across all of these chains. And as an ecosystem itself, we have a lot coming. So AnyInu, it's a dog coin. It's a multi-chain coin, hence the any moniker, any blockchain to any blockchain, and it's also an AI coin. So we're glad to hit all of those angles. Um, let's see, what would be the best angle to start with today? I guess maybe we can answer some of the questions like the speakers had who joined. I think that summary was short enough. Um, and any of you guys can unmute and ask away.
Honestly, I don't have any questions. I just want to come up here and give a shout out to the community. The past month, the growth has been insane. Everybody's pumping. I'm pumped to be a part of this, guys. I'm proud of everybody, and let's keep pushing.
Yeah, I mean, it's all community. It really was all community from day one. I think we really differentiate ourselves in that, we don't rely on like paid shills or callers, and that everything we see today has been an entirely organic process. I'm not sure a lot of other communities in crypto can say the same thing. Um, and I definitely see it. So like outside of like this account, I go and like an alt account, like I'm reading through like quick crypto Twitter posts, and like sometimes I see people rating tweets to like any, I'm like, holy shit, like this is very real. Um, yeah,
It's
it's
a
it's
100% real, man. The hype is there. Everybody's pumped. When you have a token across 17 chains, it's innovative. Everybody's excited about it.
and it's like we're on 17 right now, but like by the end of the year we'd be 60. And I guess we can talk about some of the differentiation too about being on like Axler itself, and why something like this wasn't possible before. Um, so generally in like blockchain like EVM, when you had like bridging before, the way it would work is you'd wrap tokens on one chain, and then they'd be minted on like a corresponding chain, kind of like how Wormhole works for our own token. On Ethereum, people uh, wrap their tokens. It gets stored on a contract, and then a corresponding amount of tokens get minted on Solana. But if you've noticed, that bridge is like one way. It's from Ethereum to Solana, Solana Ethereum. What differentiates like Axler and like Layer Zero is this like any to any approach, where it's like you can go from Ethereum to BSC to Phantom to Blast. You can hop between all of these like chains, like any to any, and then given you've had so if Axler is the hub, you have all these chains as like spokes, and then from there you can have as many like one-way bridges as you want. And I guess what's really cool about us using Axler versus something like Layer Zero is Layer Zero is restricted to EVM chains, but as of the 14th, Axler, is going to be on the Cosmos ecosystem as well, and can be made to work for like other consensus protocols as well. So for other uh, coins, trying to build purely off Layer Zero, like they're going to be inherently like limited by the limitations of like Layer Zero, whereas with like Axler, we're going to be able to go, truly multi-chain cross, different consensus protocols being used, which I'm very excited about. Let's see, J.R. Robinson. Did any of you guys who just joined have any questions? No? Okay. So things for this month. So me personally, I'm forming entity in like Singapore for the purposes of market making. Um, so generally, when a user goes on an exchange, you see how there's a bunch of like resting bids and ask orders, and this is done by like some market maker who, the current market price is expected to provide liquidity on both the bid and ask side. And this is like a requirement for the higher tier exchanges, that your token be sufficiently liquid on those centralized exchanges. For our first listing, Sendex itself did the market making, but for future listings, we have separate market makers. Um, so on top of getting entity formed, we're also getting a legal opinion done for the token, that should enable higher tier centralized exchange listings. So that's very much like a focus this month, because as cool as like being multi-chain is, like being on chain is, um, a lot of users won't even be exposed to the coin in the first place if they don't see it somewhere. So it is important to get on centralized exchanges for our growth. Um, I'm happy to see that form. And then regarding like the legal opinion, I think we're going to have like a pretty positive outcome there. We're pretty differentiated in that we're like 100% like circulating like token. If you look at like the distribution of holders, no single wallet holds more than 1% of the supply, which is kind of nuts if you think about it. It's like very well distributed. You look at like some of these like other like newer like meme tokens, and there's just like some wallet holding like 6 or 7% of the supply. Um, and we're at this point like pretty early on, like 2 months in, where supply is like super well distributed. So it's like when you make the argument like, oh, is this coin like truly like decentralized for like a meme token 100% circulating, the answer is yes. We have all of these like burned LPs as well. So in terms of like confidence for exchanges listing us, in terms of confidence for like market makers, it should be much higher than for a comparable token. Um, okay, so that's market making, a bit about the legal entity. Diamond Hands is coming soon, but I keep mentioning that. So like for version one of Diamond Hands is like very very simple, right? It was like token locker. You get like a receipt token, and it was like a static page where there's like a leaderboard, and then from there we're like, oh, this is like pretty cool for us to do Diamond Hands for our own token. Why do we allow other tokens to do Diamond Hands? And then from there it was like, oh, how about we allow people to lock any arbitrary like token or like NFT on the platform as well? And we have to support like multi-chain, as well as like in the deployment process, make sure our contract addresses are like consistent between chains, um, as well as like for the actual like front end development, like support all of these like blockchains. Um, so that's largely what the delay there has been, but happy for the progress there. Um, let's see. Longer term vision is definitely playing into the multi-chain and AI themes in our token. So I previously have mentioned like any alias and like any API, and I think they both like heavily play into the multi-chain and AI themes, as well as like serve a very practical and real purpose. So, for example, in our case, like any alias, we have a community wallet on like BSC. It's like a multi-sig, so to send any like transactions, you need like multiple signers. And the reason we chose BSC is it's our second largest chain in terms of like supply, and then gas fees were low. Because for us, to do anything on like ETH, like the multi-sig, it'd be like $50 like gas fees, whereas like on BSC it'd be like under $1 to do the same things. But then we had questions like, oh, if we have a community wallet on one chain, like how could we have like a consistent address between like all of these chains, where someone could just send to like one address and then have that be forwarded um, to the right place. So that's like where any alias comes in, where you can like share one human readable address, and then you can send to that address from like any chain, and then have like a wrapped interchain token version of that be delivered to you um, on the destination chain. So like I could send funds from like ETH or Moonbeam or like Blast, and that would end up in the BSC community wallet as like a wrapped version of that asset. So I think that's just like super useful, and it seems like a next logical step. Like if you have Ethereum name service, then why wouldn't you go multi-chain from there? So that's like a multi-chain angle for the future of like AnyInu. And then the other angle, like any API, is like something I've been like personally passionate about for a long time. Uh, so when dealing with like large language models, there's a very popular framework called LangChain, and LangChain lets you put together a bunch of like third party like API requests together to do fun things with like large language models. Like um, suppose I need to make use of like maps data when like returning a request to user, or get some real time info, or some siloed like data. Like traditionally, I'd be using LangChain for each service I want to pull data in from. I get an API key for those services, and set everything up locally in like a developer environment. Uh, but then I realized, for most requests, um, you only are doing those types of requests like once or twice. Like if I want to get like specific information, like what are the odds I persistently need to get the same type of information? Like pretty low. Like if I'm trying to get like legal advice about something specific, very like specific like map data, very specific financial data, as like a casual user of large language models, odds are I don't need to go through the sign up process for these things, pay these high monthly fees, or do captchas. So any API is like a directory of like APIs maintained by relayers who can be paid in some native token, um, such that they can fulfill requests to any API. So I think that itself should be that itself is a very great like AI use case, and fits very well into the AnyInu moniker and like ecosystem. Something like sooner we can do on like the AI front. I mean, we already have like the image bot in Telegram. Would be to have like a chat bot on our website as well. And then I've explored, in the background, getting started on like some other AI application, kind of like Nintendogs or like Tamagotchi for any Inu, just like something fun, something like purely fun to do for any Inu, but probably not a lot of differentiation you can actually get with like a dog versus like some other angle to it. Um, so closer to, yeah, we definitely expect like an any Inu chatbot which will have information about our project, as well as be able to explain like multi-chain, just like all of this like very like diverse info, like the chatbot will be able to distill. And there's a lot of very uh, popular frameworks that allows us to build something like this pretty quickly and easily. Let's see. Okay, does anyone have any questions who came on?
Hey, good morning and good evening. I wanted to ask what the next plans are for the DN4 and 404.
Yeah, so art's still being worked on for DN404. So as soon as we get like art revealed, at the same time we're gonna be on like CoinGecko and like CoinMarketCap. So everything around like DN404 is it's largely not relevant until the art, and until it's like taken multi-chain, until like Diamond Hands itself is like out. Like that won't be the focus, but like I guess the constraint really is like the art. And I'd say the ETA on that art's about 2 weeks. We're getting like a 3D artist to do the NFT art for that. It's like 3D dog houses. Um, So that's the main constraint with like DN404. It's just like the art, and then from there, you know, we can do all of like info verifications, as well as like push usage inside Diamond Hands. Yeah, so that's that. Anyone else who joined the speaker have anything to add, ask? Let's see. I think I've been talking about this like more frequently recently, but I talk about this like word moat, you know, moat a lot, like the moat we've built in like the AnyInu community, and just how difficult it is to replicate for like any other project. Like it's easy enough today to, you know, create a new interchain like token, you know, and have it be available on a bunch of like blockchains that like Axeler supports. Like that process isn't actually that difficult. Uh, but all of this other stuff, where it's like getting sufficient liquidity on all of these chains, getting distribution, you know, all that liquidity being burned, getting info on all of the explorers and all of the dexes, all of the whitelists, CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, um, just like the actual like building of like a community, like cross chain, like all of the stuff is like very, 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 very difficult. Uh, so it's like you go on Solana, and it seems that like every 5 minutes there's just like some other like rug pull project launching, like despite like burned liquidity, and like you really can't expect much from those projects. But like in this case, for like a truly multi-chain project, it's just so difficult to replicate. Like you can't have like a new project like launching every 5 minutes. It's not possible. There's like too much to do in terms of like time, effort, and like community building. Um, so the lead we have here is like pretty significant. In a future that's obviously like multi-chain across like L1s and L2s. We're the most multi-chain, and we've built like a substantial lead. So I'm pretty excited about that. Like the more you really examine, you know, what the future of multi-chain looks like, and what it takes to really get like a multi-chain like community, um, the more confident you get in like the moat we have here.
I have one question. The Cosmos, could you explain that a bit more? What it's just about, or what that does it mean for AnyInu?
It means that as soon as Axeler has support for the Interchain Token Service on like Cosmos, AnyInu will be on Cosmos blockchains again, as well. So like that means Atom, that means Say. We're going to be on Cosmos based blockchains as well. Um, and it could be other like consensus mechanisms as well. And it's all thanks to like Axeler VM, um, which is coming out the 14th. The Axeler guys haven't given an exact timeline for integration to ITS, but it should be the earlier part of the spring. So maybe end of this month or like early April is when like ITS gets support for that. They've been moving like pretty fast recently, actually, with like all of these upgrades. So initially, I was communicating to the Axeler team regarding Blast, and they're like, "Yeah, we won't have Blast support for another 3 weeks on like ITS." Um, so I went ahead to try and, you know, get us into Blast like day one, you know, multi-chain. Is I put out my own like bridging contract using a standard Optimism bridgeable token. And like that was all fine and dandy, but you know, just 5 days later, ITS like added support for Blast. Um, so over the next couple of weeks, uh, you know, slowly we're gonna be like merging those like older tokens on Blast to the ITS versions. That's why on like Blast you see the tokens have the words not non ITS and like parentheses to emphasize that, you know, it's just bridgeable between like Ethereum and Blast, and not like the any to any approach yet. Um, What's really cool about like ITS two is I guess like they use the create two opcode, uh, so the contract addresses remain consistent between EVM chains. I think that's pretty cool as well about ITS. Okay, we have 7 speakers now. Yeah.
Hey, is there any plans to list on a centralized exchange?
I just talked about this earlier. Yes, yes, absolutely. I mean, we're already on like Ascendex, like a smaller exchange that's KYC light. But yeah, we're getting onto bigger exchanges, and we're getting more liquidity onto those exchanges as well. That's definitely a priority. We're definitely at the size now where I don't feel justified saying like, oh, this should only be available on dexes. We should definitely be on larger exchanges, more liquid exchanges. It only makes sense. But then also in like choosing those like centralized exchanges and prioritizing them, we definitely want centralized exchanges which have some level of multi-chain support. Like for example, like Ascendex, when we first listed, they're able to give us Ethereum, BSC, and Solana deposits, which I think was like quite useful for our community. And going forward, like ideally, we'd want at least like 2 networks supported by a centralized exchange. Um, so that's like Ethereum, BSC, could be Phantom, could be Optimism, like whatever. We want at least like 2 networks to be supported for AnyInu. Yeah, so centralized exchange is definitely a priority, and like, saying it like the amount of holders we have, like the current market cap, like there's no real excuse anymore for us not to get in larger exchanges. Like before, when people were asking this question, like one centralized exchange at like 1,200 holders, 1,200 2,000 holders, I was like, it really doesn't matter at that point. But like now, over 40,000 holders and our current market cap, yeah, we should definitely be getting on those exchanges. Okay, we have 8 speakers. 8 speakers now.
Hello. Hi, I have 2 questions. The first question is about CoinMarketCap. I want to know when AnyInu is update on the CoinMarketCap, because it's not listing on CoinMarketCap for a moment with the real listing. That's the first question. And the second question is when you starting the marketing on YouTube with YouTubers strategy, because I think it's very shame. We have very good potential, very good token, and when I look a group of scammers and then push a very scam project on the first days and 5 millions, 10 millions, and I don't look any promotions with any Inu on the YouTube. That's a shame for me, because potential is very important. Thank you.
Yeah, I think you said something. So first of all, we are on Coin Market Cap. The circulating supply is unverified, but that'll get verified. Uh, that process is particularly annoying for our coin, just because it requires a rich list on each chain, as well as like the full history of burns and like the supply on each chain and like a big spreadsheet. And like the spreadsheet like Coin Market Cap currently gives you to fill out just assumes you're on one chain. So there's no current like submission way for us to like verify that cap, but we do show up on Coin Market Cap. We are in the listings. We do have a rank. And you made a very valid point about scammers impersonating the project. Like obviously there have been like fake Twitters, fake websites, people advertising for like phony airdrops. Like I myself like went on YouTube and I searched like AnyInu, and like one of the videos was like a total scam. Um, just like something completely irrelevant, like just talking about like AnyInu with like a phishing link at the bottom. So like boosting our YouTube presence will definitely like push those scammers out. In terms of like the actual like YouTube content production, uh, anyone from the community can like step up to do that production. Like in the community wall, we do have like funds. Like we as a community can like spend on those YouTubers and like the production of that content. I myself am like uh, very busy, like the technical and like biz dev side, so I don't see myself personally involved in the production of the content. But other people on the core community team, I'll definitely like emphasize that in chat as well. So this is something we should be pursuing, and yeah, it's very valid because the more content we have on these like social platforms, the better we're able to push out scammers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that also rolls into my question quite well. I've been in a few of the spaces here, and I think a lot of the, I guess, like technical push is from like yourself as the founder, and then this community wall is the first time I'm hearing about this. But what is the plans for expansion of the team, full time versus community roles versus like just contractors such as the 3D artist that you just mentioned earlier? What does the team look like now, and where is it going to be expanding to?
So core team is around like nine people, and there's 22 community mods. In regards to like development, before it was only me. Now I have my friend from college who's helping me with like front end and React. So it's like two on like the technical side. Then I think like going forward, it still is going to be very much like community roles and contractors. I mean, me myself, this is like a second like full time job. Um, so I mean, I guess I'm already like full time for like any Inu, and I would say 8-bit Sam is also full time for like any Inu, and many other members of the community. It's like a second job for them as well. I think it's okay to keep it like community oriented, and definitely as like we differentiate in like things we want to hit, it makes sense to keep using contractors where it's marketing, design, like animation. I think using contractors is the right approach there.
In terms of the budget or the treasury for that, has that already been denominated and put aside? Is that out of your personal treasury? Like, how does that actually look? Is that liquidated on market, or contractors accepting any Inu as a token?
So the community treasury itself is like it's like around like 5,000. So far to like pay like contractors and all of that, I've just been like paying personally out of pocket. And then like as well for like the first centralized exchange listing, we've asked like early whales and like the AnyInu community to put up funds for centralized exchange listings, because like for those there's like a fixed listing fee in stables, and then you have to loan out to a market maker some amount of like stables and some amount of like tokens and like pay a retainer. So in that regard, it's just been like community fundraising, because there's no real like treasury to work from. Um, so we've just been like funding everything ourselves, like keeping. I mean, incentives are like pretty aligned. You're a larger holder of the token. Makes sense that you yourself would spend more for a token. Um, and I guess it like maintains like the community like ethos as well. Like when we say this is a community token, it truly is a community token. Um,
Yeah, for you, what starts to categorize larger holder? Like, what are the holder like sizes that start to make these types of community investments?
I'd say above 0.25%. So I'd say about probably like the billion any Inu mark. is what I'd categorize as one of these large holders.
Gotcha. And where are you currently making the requests for this type of community action?
So some of it has been in Discord, but mostly it's like DMing people directly around like an initiative. And I feel like that personal approach has been pretty good. Keeping like a mental like ledger of like what people have done in the past, and just reaching out to people, and so far everyone's been like happy to help. It's what the expression from like Ohm. It's 3-3 to be collaborative. Um, so the community has
Hey,
been
what's
really
going
good
on,
about
man? How
that
you
so
doing?
far. Hey, nice to see you again.
Oops, I don't think you can hear me.
No, I hear you.
Oh, hey, I'm working right now, man. I'm fixing some electrical stuff, but I try to pop in these spaces, man. I just want to say what's up, and good to hear you again. And
Yeah, nice to see you popping in again.
I have a question. How does Axelar benefit from this project? Or does Axelar charges you guys for giving you their services?
No, Axler is in charge. ITS is like permissionless, and the way Axler, I guess, like benefits from collaborating with us is, we see a multi-chain future. Axler sees a multi-chain future. So if any Inu is able to help other people see a multi-chain future, then that benefits like Axler greatly. The success of any Inu also highlights their interchain like token service, which benefits like Axler. So there's like a lot of like win-win in like any Inu highlighting Axler, and then Axler highlighting any Inu, as well as being collaborative on like the tech side as well. Like if we're trying to do any like Axler integrations, Axler is able to give us feedback and support there. Um, yeah, it's very collaborative.
Who from the Axelar team are you guys working mostly with? Like, how high up in the org?
I'd say we've mostly been working with Jason. Uh, their biz dev, their head of business development, and he's been very helpful in connecting us with more technical Axler people, as well as like Axler marketing people. And again, we're a community project, so this relationship, legally is not like an explicit endorsement from like Axler. We just like the tech. Um,
Yeah,
uh,
is a grant ever possibly on the table?
yeah, we applied for a grant. In the end of February, we submitted like a 4-page like grant proposal, um, and like the purpose of that grant, like half of it was towards spreading the multi-chain message, talking about like Axler technology, and like the other half of that grant was up to our community to spend as we saw fit. And then like me personally, the way we see that like community side of the grant would be towards centralized exchange listings, as well as like bribes on new chains to bootstrap liquidity.
Yo, what up, brother?
Yep. How you
How you
doing?
feeling today?
Feeling good.
Man, I just wanted to hop on and say I appreciate you, everything that you're doing for the token. We believe in you, and I just want you to take your time and do it right. You got mass support from the community. We appreciate it.
No, and I appreciate the community. Like this token itself isn't possible without the community. So I may handle some of like the biz dev, like the technical side, but then like the rest around like spreading the message, building community. It depends on like everyone in the community. It's just it can't just be me pushing it.
100%, 100%. As of myself, I launched a couple of tokens on BSC, so I understand what you're going through, and I know it's a full-time job, and I'm just here just to say that I support you, and we love everything that you're doing with the token, and just take your time, no rush.
Yeah, thank you for your support. Yeah, it probably is important to do this right, but while we see like momentum in like the broader market, it probably makes sense to like capitalize on that. Um, to grow our community. So in that regard, we I'm not oblivious to the fact that we're in a bull market right now, and it makes sense to take advantage of those market conditions. Um, and I think we will take advantage of those conditions.
Thanks for your time, brother. Have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for popping in.
Of course.
Hey, yo, Andy, did you hear anything I said earlier? I think I was pulling out my driveway. I cut out.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I just wanted to pop up and let you know I'm still over there. Man, everything's going great. Just hope you have a wonderful day, man. I'm going to get back to work, though. Unfortunately, I can't stay the whole space today.
Yeah. Have a good one.
Thanks, man. You too.
Okay, we got a couple of people connecting a speaker. Old man. Classic question asker. Love to see you here again this fine Saturday morning. Did you have any specific questions, Lumiere or Old Man?
Hi. Yeah. Hi. Good to speak again. I was wondering the message you sent out earlier, was it today or yesterday? March 9th, the community update. It was really, really useful. It was such a good thing to see, just because when we're doing this kind of live meeting, a lot gets said and a lot goes way over my head. And I think it's just really useful to have it laid out like that. It kind of provides preparation in a way for the meeting. And anything that we don't understand, we can kind of check up for ourselves, do a little bit of research, try to make sense of. So I thought that was really, really positive. I was really happy to see that. And as a result of reading it, I've kind of got a question relating to the legal opinion. What exactly is it? How long's the process? Obviously, the outcome of the process we know, because that's in the commentary that you provided. But what's the kind of time frame around that? Do we know that?
So it happens right after the entity is like finished. Um, so it's about like a week process. So a lawyer, goes for a website, goes for a community docs, goes for a white paper I will produce, and then like based on that, like the current state of the project will be like, this is a security, or this is a utility token, or this is like truly a community token. And then an exchange like KuCoin is then able to look at that legal opinion and be like, hey, this token is definitely not a security. We're not gonna tread on like anyone's toes here. We're good to list this token. So that legal opinion is mainly for exchanges to be able to like list their token. And it's like important to get it done now, because like even though if you get the legal opinion now, it still takes quite some time to go through the entire like listing process in terms of um, you know getting the list, applying for the listing, having it approved, getting the market makers like set up, and then like actually like starting trading. Um, yeah, the legal opinion I think is going to be very helpful for getting centralized exchanges.
Okay, thanks. So that's in process. It says in the commentary that, and you've just said it takes about a week. So we should hopefully hear positive kind of news from that within a week or two.
I'd err on like 2 weeks, because it's being done in conjunction with the Singaporean entity, so it's about like I'd say closer to 2 to 3 weeks, because like the entity has to finish forming before we actually get that legal opinion done.
For sure. Okay. Okay, yeah, I mean that's all so positive. All of that, the information that was in there was just so welcome. It's really great to see.
I mean, you can continue.
So I was going to say also there was a bit on marketing and like the community being able to pay for. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. So like the community is free to pay for shills, but like I myself will never pay for like a paid shill or a caller or like anything of that nature. Like core community team, won't pay for any like morally gray marketing. Like of
Yeah.
course it's outside of our control if like anyone else does so, but we ourselves will like not endorse that type of marketing.
Okay. So when you say morally gray, what kind of does that cover as such? What
buy our token and you're guaranteed to make $1 million. Buy our token right now and you will be like a millionaire. It's like making financial advice unsubstantiated like promises, viewing it as like an investment. So like anything that would get you in trouble for like the SEC in the United States or consumer what's our committee? Yeah, anything that would get you in trouble in the United States, basically.
Okay. Right. Okay. And so those kind of things, would an individual get in trouble for those kind of things? Or so if someone's putting say 100x gem on a post, you see that so often, that's as long as that's not coming from you directly as an organization.
Yeah, as long as it's not us,
Surely.
it's yeah, no. Anyone's like free to say that. Like it's not gonna come from us though. We're not the ones saying it.
Yeah. Okay. I've been using the AI, fake AI platform just to create some things. I get bored and I get bored. I'm incredibly busy. I don't know how I get bored, but and I've just been creating them, just playing with kind of trying to get the tone right and the speech patterns right for different characters. And I don't know if there's any thoughts around that, whether people have seen them, whether people have been amused or feel that they're out of place, or whether they would welcome more. I don't know. I kind of said yesterday that I wasn't going to make any more because I didn't think that they'd been well received. But I've enjoyed the process, so I'm kind of willing to make more if I think they'll be of use. I don't know if you have an opinion, or anyone else has an opinion.
No, I think it's like super cool in general. And and referring back to what you said earlier about the community update, we put out the community. So at first, when we made that like large like Telegram change, a lot of people like didn't like that. Immediately revolted against the Telegram change, and like I understand like it is kind of annoying to do one extra click in Telegram, but it does allow us to have these multiple like topics where we can like segregate like info and just like have that be more easily accessible in like Telegram. Like all of this is like a evolutionary like process. Like it evolves over time. Like this like new TG, like these new sources of like info, like this thing where like community mods where like will summarize what was said. In like the past week, where current things we're like working on, and like being able to like share that to the community. Um, like all of that has been an evolutionary like process. I think like checking in our to our community like every week since inception, like you see week by week how we've both like grown and like we've become like better managed as a community, and like our brand image has improved. Our moderation, the bots, like everything has just been improving over time, and uh, excited to see that growth rate going forward.
Are there any plans to add animation to the website or anything like that?
Yeah, of course. So like the website right now is like pretty basic. It's like definitely better than the like website like prior to it. A lot of consideration has to be done in like how to present like information on the website, just because of all of like the chain support and like all of like the themes we're hitting. So like some of the copywriting on the website is like oriented towards like a dog coin. Um, yeah, the website will be improved. Like obviously here we have like a cyberpunk like AI theme, so like any like design improvements there will be playing into the cyberpunk like AI theme. Um, and then that's where I see it. Like it'll improve over time. Like right now, like priority is like Diamond Hands, but like when Diamond Hands is done, like maybe beginning of April, we can get a refreshed website. Um, I think right now it's good enough. It's good enough where people are able to explore the socials, look at the docs, and go from there. Obviously, like the visual appeal can be improved further. It can be a bit more clear, but it's good enough.
Yeah, for sure. It's serviceable. I just visited it just earlier today just to remind myself what it kind of looks like, and it's such an improvement on the first version. And yeah, as you say, it's kind of it does the job. I just feel like I've been watching crypto banter while this has been on, just in case they make mention of AnyInu. They're doing a meme coin experts reveal sort of thing. So that's been on in the background, and there was a couple of sites that they showed. There was animation on them, and they just looked more just more interesting, I guess, in a way. Just immediate. The
The
immediate.
immediate visual, like the immediate like eye candy from like things like moving.
Exactly. You visit the website 2 or 3 times, and then that immediate kind of response starts to diminish. But for bringing people in, it's probably quite useful. But anyway, I'll let someone else speak now because I've spoken.
Yeah, no, that's all very useful feedback, and like obviously that's like a priority. Again, it's like iterative. Like things were like very basic day one, and like everything's been improving over time, and like obviously the website will get better, and um, a lot of it's like we have so much going on. A lot of it's trying to like get like the essence of like all of that messaging onto the website. So it's both like info dense, but like not too cluttered, and we're able to present this in like a very aesthetic way. Yeah, the next website will be sick. I think we've had 2 people join as like speakers since Old Man said, yep.
Uh, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, yes. I just had a question about. So I'm in a lot of the Facebook groups on there about cryptocurrency, things like that. And I've been trying to find like a presence for any Inu. So I mean, I'm in some of those groups have upwards 400,000 or 500,000 members, and I've been posting about it as much as I can. But we keep getting a lot of the posts removed because they're pretty biased. If we're not shilling the coin that they want, then they'll delete your post. So I was wondering if we plan on creating any sort of community on like other platforms, things like
Yeah,
that.
we actually do have a Facebook for like any Inu, and like other community members are like spearheading those like other social channels. I wouldn't be really familiar with what we're doing outside of like Twitter, Telegram, like Discord, like the actual website. Our community members are like handling that. I would also like caution against a lot of these large like Facebook or like WhatsApp like cryptocurrency groups. A lot of those like large groups are just straight up scams. Like the owners will like churn out like shitty coins and then like dump on their own communities. Um, yeah, I just caution against that, against those communities in the first place.
All right, fair enough. Do we have like, do we need permission? Like, say I wanted to create a community page on
No,
Facebook
there's
for
no
any Inu.
permission, and then like you can reach out to like me or other people on like the core community team, and like we can get you featured as like as like a link on their website or in like the docs. So there's like some like level of like official connection, but like literally anyone's free. Someone can make like an any Inu like YouTube and like ask us to put up on the website. We'll put it up. It's when I say it's a community
Awesome,
project,
great.
it's literally a community project.
Great. Thank you so much. That was the only question I had at the moment, so I appreciate it. And you're doing a killer job, and I'm glad to be here, part of it.
Yeah, glad to have you as part of the community.
Hey man, can you listen to me?
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about adding the token into the Oasis network?
Oasis Network. No, it honestly hasn't been a priority. But like in terms of like if Axler VM is supported on like Oasis, that's something we can add long term. Uh, but short term, it has not been a. Yeah, I mean, uh, we'll be on every chain eventually. It's not a question of if, but when. You know, any chain where you can have like a secure like bridging protocol, we're gonna be there.
All right, thank you.
Okay, I might as well go for some of the comments now here, see if people had questions in the comments. Is there a sneak peek of the Interchain NFT still under production? Uh, if somebody paid in the community wallet, can the community wallet be used for promo or something? Yeah, the community wallet can be used for promotions. Which direction focus AnyInu for partnerships? So like a lot around partnerships, or at least my personal strategy is so like Diamond Hands itself, you know, enables like this token locking leaderboard for any token, right? So any other project can go to Diamond Hands and like put their create like a leaderboard for their own token and like have their holders like lock into that leaderboard. So around like Diamond Hands itself is a lot of like cross promotion in between our project and our projects using the leaderboards. That's like one angle. Second angle is we have a wrapper where you can take any existing NFT collection, right, ERC 721, and wrap that into a DN 404. So there are a bunch of like these older like NFT projects with like huge communities, you know, over 100,000 like Twitter followers. And then here we're able to, you know, take those like the NFT collection and then wrap it into like a 404, which you know enables those like NFTs to get like renewed liquidity. So in terms of like partnerships and like cross promo, there are a lot of these very large like NFT communities we can use as an avenue for cross promo, and Diamond Hands and the wrapping into like DN404s. That's like the place I see myself personally pushing promo. Obviously, the community is doing more stuff for like content creation, YouTubers, like Twitter threads, like all of that stuff. Um, I guess like partnerships too are with exchanges as well. Will there be a partnership with somebody like Sheepflock or some of the coins? Yeah, of course there'll be partnerships. For Diamond Hands drops, are there partnered projects at the start? There's at least one project that will be dropping coins on Diamond Hands at the start. Uh, Blast is bridgeable right now, but you have to like interact with the contracts, and it's uh, we're intentionally like not. I mean, anyone can like find out how to bridge using like the contracts, but generally, since ITS is now supported on Blast, we're starting the process of taking the non-ITS tokens out of circulation on Blast and then replacing them with ITS tokens. And if the bridge out of Blast takes like 2 weeks using the standard bridge, that process takes a good amount of time. So it's in our best interest that we keep the circulation of non-ITS and AnyInu tokens on Blast low for now. Um, is it possible to make a gas station for AI? Bridge AI and let people start trading on the chain, providing a little bit of gas, people's a little bit of it. So I think there's like a service, gas zip that like kind of enables that, and then for small amounts of like any enu as well, Squid router has a gas service as well. Um, for non-computer people like me, can you explain the difference between ITS and non-ITS as simple as you can? And for AI to be swapped more efficiently, do we also need a multi-chain wallet that allows bridging between the LP? So I'll start with the second half of that question. So not Squid router, but like on the actual Axelar interchain bridge, like these tokens are bridgeable between all of these chains, like 1-to-1. So the swaps are quite efficient. Like the main constraint on like bridging time there is like how long it takes to get confirmations. And around like ITS, so where ITS stands out is keeping the same contract address consistent between like all of these networks. But like as a feature of like Axelar, is it's any to any versus 1-to-1. So traditionally, bridges, it's only from one blockchain to another. Like that path is one way. Whereas with Axelar, it's like any to any. And like where this really stands out is, let's see, n squared minus n, is to suppose you have like two networks, right? If you have just like two networks, you're indifferent between using a 1-to-1 bridge or like an any to any approach. Uh, you have like three networks all of a sudden. The three networks, you would need to establish like three bridges to get coverage of everything. But with like ITS, you have coverage of everything with just like one contract scheme. If you have like four networks, to get bridging support between everything, you would need six connections, whereas with ITS, there's only one ITS. So like the Interchain Token Service allows us to be super scalable, whereas taking the 1-to-1 bridge approach is like very, very limiting. Last, AI seems like the perfect coin for multi-chain LP and staking protocol where you can receive benefits from multiple chains. I think bots trying to do that by piggybacking on RSL too, but AI seems to have all the fundamentals for that type of contract. So I think we're already biting off a lot with like our token. Like I think a lot of the messaging around our token should be, most multi-chain token, most multi-chain community in crypto. We have like multi-chain like adjacent projects. We're like an AI project too. We're like a Dogcoin. Regarding something more like DeFi, so anything like DeFi, like AnyInu related, would be like it could be like AnyInu branded, but it would be adjacent to AnyInu itself. A little fun like consideration there is like if any of you guys have heard about like the project like Peapod's Finance, is that AnyInu is like on all of these like blockchains, and like the native reserve asset and all of these like blockchains is like different. So for example, in our LPs we have like AVAX, Matic, Ethereum, Solana, right? And as the prices of all of these like currencies like vary themselves, it introduces arbitrage opportunities, which is captured in the token itself. So AnyInu actually captures the underlying volatility of the assets it's paired with, which is kind of interesting. So and so suppose there were no new like AnyInu holders at all, right? Um, just the variation in like those like base assets and like the LP alone will accrue value to the LP over time, because by being multi-chain and like having our reserves be in like so many different like LPs, that's able to harvest volatility over time through arbitrage. I have a question about sustainability. If Dev is paying out of his pocket for market making, centralized marketing, what happens when Dev runs out of funds? So far, I mean, it's not only me like paying out of pocket. It's like a lot of like the early whales like paying out of pocket. And I think it's like pretty fair too. Um, in terms of like ways to like do fundraising as a community, I think like any new adjacent projects are like an avenue for like fundraising. Um, I think, for example, like NFT is like an avenue of like fundraising as well. Ideally, we want to avoid making it like overly expensive or scammy, or yeah. A lot of people like overprice things and just take, yeah, no. anything we're doing in terms of like community fundraising is like going to community treasury and for the community. Sustainability, we have like the Axler grant as well coming in. So I mean, it's a question for like any project, any blockchain project, any like business. Where are the funds coming from? But I think like being a community project, like no one asks the same question of like Bitcoin, for example. The funds do come from the community. When do we expect the DEX? I mean, I think that's just a typo. It means centralized exchange. Question: are we going to make use of Layer 0 Labs utility? So Axler is actually a lot more secure than Layer 0, so there's not much need to use Layer 0 in the first place. And then also with like Axler VM, we have like full coverage of like VM, and they're making permissionless ITS connectors as well with Axler. So I think Axler is a strictly superior project to Layer 0. Yeah, no, I think Axler is just a strictly superior project to Layer 0. So there's not much need. So originally with like DN404 at the time, because I wanted to be first, I was considering using like OmniC for the DN404 drop, which is layer 0 based, and I guess for any of the bridging we do ourselves, for example, like the Interchain NFT, we can make both use of Axler's technology and layer 0 as well. Any chance you can partner up with a legitimate high-end brand, for example, Rolex? I'm not exactly sure what type of cross-marketing we could do with something like Rolex, but I don't know. So an AnyInu branded car in our wrap might be cool. What are your plans for exchanges? Or any chance the team will get doxxed? I mean, I talked about exchanges already. I mean, I'm already doxxed to people in like ecosystem. So that's like these people who manage these decentralized exchange whitelists. I'm doxxed to them. I'm doxxed to the Axler team, and I'm doxxed to members of the core community team. I think just like practically in like crypto, like doxing yourself opens you up to a lot of like targeted hacks and scams. So that's why I'd be like hesitant to like publicly dox. But for those like strategic partners and like people on like core team, yeah, I'm doxed. And I guess you have my voice too, so eventually someone's going to be able to put 2 and 2 together.
I want to know
Let's see.
your point of view.
Can AnyInu be DAO token for the vote, and so we can burn the token for the vote? I mean, there's the idea of like decentralized governance. There's no need to have like delegation and like voting for like the AnyInu yet, I believe, while we're still like growing and like building the community. In terms of like burns and like reducing circulating supply, I believe like diamond hands will be very helpful in that regard. When verified source code, what do you mean by this? Our source code is verified. Yeah, what do you mean by when verified source code? All of the source code is verified. Can we go for a bit tensor subnet? Not sure what it is, but I'm hearing a lot about them at the moment. So that requires about like 400. No, I forget, it's like 400 or 1,000 like tau to like establish a subnet. Regardless, like the price of a bit tensor subnet right now is around $3 million. So we certainly have other priorities. We could spend that money with rather than like a bit tensor like subnet. The VC that owns the AI handle on Twitter, though, he was talking about that if like any other projects like approach him for like a viable use case. He's an early investor in like Tau, and he's willing to cover the costs of like setting up a subnet for very real use cases of that subnet. So that's possible. I mean, maybe any API could be viable as like a subnet, but I think they're mostly going for like purely machine learning services. So you can think of like BitTensor as a decentralized like Hugging Face. From an honest like engineer's perspective, I think like Hugging Face is superior to like BitTensor. But you know, it's crypto, it's decentralized, it's cool. Yeah, there's obviously a lot of hype in AI infrastructure coins, and getting a subnet would like truly establish AnyInu as like an AI coin. We have to be very clear in our approach then. Let's see. Okay, that should cover most of the questions in the comments. We've been running for over an hour now. I guess I can take one or two more questions and then I can wrap it up. So ask in the comments or request to speak. One or two more questions. Okay, then if no one wants to come up to speak or ask in the comments, I guess that'd be a good place to end it. Hope to see you guys next week in the space, and I hope to show you guys something cool next week as well. Thanks for tuning in, guys.
Thanks very much. It's been brilliant. Thank you.